Hey guys, welcome to Cape and Cowl Cafe. I'm Nemo, and today we're going to be talking about Spider-Man: A Brand New Day. We just got a brand new trailer, so let's talk about it. If you guys enjoyed the video at any point today, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button, but let's hop right in. Alright, first off, let's just address the elephant in the room. We already saw a lot of these clips before the trailer came out, like the day before. They were just releasing like these 2-second little segments of the trailer every hour, and it was just really annoying. I did not understand the marketing tactic at all, but at the end of the day, it's not really that big of a deal because we still got the full trailer the next day, so it's whatever. We can't really complain that much. Alright, so the trailer opens up with a shot of Peter hanging upside down from this construction girder, and we get a really good look at the suit. Like, I know we've already seen it before. We've seen plenty of looks at the suit because of all those leaked set photos, but I gotta say, in this trailer, it looks great. Probably the best live-action Spider-Man suit we have ever had. I love it. We also see Peter watching a Instagram reel, it looks like, of MJ and Ned, and what I do like about this setup so far is it's following the events of No Way Home. They totally could have just forgotten about MJ and Ned and moved on to other side characters, which I know some people would like that, but it doesn't really make sense, you know? Like, Peter loved these people, and just having them removed from his life instantly would be a huge shock, and you know, he would obsess over them for, you know, a little bit. I feel like that would be normal for someone to do. I don't know, it might just be me. So while I do think it would have been cool maybe to see another love interest or new side characters, maybe introduce Harry or Gwen or Black Cat or something, I do respect the decision to continue this story that they've set up because there's no reason to abandon it, you know? We then get a shot of Peter falling off the building and going into a dive bomb, and I just have to say, look at the suit. The fabric, the ripples, it's a tangible, physical suit, you know? Like, I know it's probably CGI in this shot, but it doesn't really look like it, you know? In all of Tom Holland's previous Spider-Man movies, he was wearing a vacuum-sealed bag, a CGI suit that was painted over like a million times in post, and it just made him look like a cartoon character. This looks so good. I mean, a lot of these shots look like they came out of TASM 2. The cinematography looks way better so far. I am loving the visual atmosphere. And then we get this really interesting shot of Peter's eye as he's looking at the mask. It's really interesting. We don't really get to see, you know, this kind of sophisticated camera work in Spider-Man movies. It's usually pretty, you know, simple and basic, but this looks really creative. And the next part of the trailer is narrated by Peter Parker, and it sounds like he's reading off some kind of letter. And if you look at this shot here, we actually get to see the letter that he is reading off of. You can see some of the lines match up, but I'm assuming he wrote this for MJ and he's deciding on whether or not to deliver it to her. And if you look at the shot, we also get to see what Peter's web shooters look like without the costume. So we just have like the silver brackets and they're attached to these black wristbands. And that totally answers the question I had about the suit, because I was wondering if they were going to do the silver web shooters that wrap all the way around the wrist, but it looks like he just wears these under the suit, and then only the silver part shows up over the costume. So that's pretty interesting. I think it's pretty cool. All right, this next shot is really interesting. We see Spider-Man receiving the key to the city, and it doesn't really make sense to me because I'm pretty sure this movie is supposed to take place around the same time as Daredevil Born Again Season 2, and Mayor Fisk is in power. And he has like this whole task force. He's outlawed vigilantes. So I don't really see Spider-Man being this friendly with the city government or the authorities. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, maybe this takes place before or after, but it just feels a little inconsistent. We'll have to see what's going on there. Really interesting though. All right, next we get some more shots of Spider-Man swinging through the city, jumping off buildings, all that good stuff. But this shot specifically right here, this looks a lot like Andrew Garfield's swinging scenes and like the physics of it, and this looks way better than the swinging in all of the previous movies. He always looked too floaty in those movies. Like, the physics weren't really tangible and real looking. This looks a lot better. He looks like a rubber band pendulum just zipping around. It's so cool. Just overall, this action looks great. We also see the tank that we got a pretty good look at during the set leaks, and I'll have to get back to that tank later because there's something really interesting that I'm not seeing a ton of people talking about, but then again, this trailer came out a few hours ago, so I haven't really seen a ton of breakdowns, but we'll get to that. And next up, we get to see Spider-Man interact with the Punisher. Finally. This looks so funny.
The hell, Frank? You just hit me with a van!
Put your whimpering. Suit yourself.
And, you know, by the way they're interacting, it looks like they've met before, whether it's earlier in the movie or off screen. I'm kind of glad that they already have some kind of dynamic going, and it looks really entertaining. I can't wait to see this.
Mother.
Go home!
All right, next up, we get to see a shot of Peter Parker attending a party, assumedly hosted by MJ. She's tending to some flowers and drinks on the counter here. And what's really interesting is she feels a lot different than she did in the previous movies. She kind of feels more like how Liz was in Homecoming. She's a lot more social. She's more outgoing. She's not as introverted as she was in the previous movies. And so it's really interesting how they're doing this personality shift. And like, is she even the same person that Peter knew, like when they were dating? Like, she feels completely different. Oh, I guess Paul's here too. That's great. We love Paul. All right, now here is the big conversation point from the trailer. We see Peter pass out. He wakes up in some kind of web cocoon. And if you've read the JMS Spider-Man run, you know what's happening here. He's getting the organic webbing. He's evolving. And I don't know how I feel about it, but honestly, I think I'm leaning towards being okay with it. You know, I don't think it's really that big of a deal. It's interesting. I mean, it's from the comics, so it's not like they're pulling this out of their ass, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how they adapt it. I don't want them to do any of the weird mystical stuff. I would be okay with Peter just naturally evolving over time, but I don't want them to do any of the weird magical spider totem stuff. And, you know, Shathra, I know that there's been some rumors of her being thrown around. I don't want all that. If they want to evolve him naturally, that's cool, you know, but don't throw magic into it. That's just weird. Next, we got Spider-Man being scanned by some kind of machine. I'm assuming this belongs to Bruce Banner. You know, Spider-Man goes to him for help after he gets his new abilities, and the machine is analyzing him or something. I zoomed in on some of the computer monitors stuff, and I can't really see any details that would tell us who this belongs to, but I'm assuming it's Bruce Banner. That would make the most sense. All right, so this next shot is actually really interesting. We see Peter in what I'm assuming is his home base, his apartment or whatever. It's where he operates out of. And obviously there's a bunch of webs everywhere, but that's not important. I mean, we see the police scanner, we see the computer monitors, some equipment and stuff, but this shot specifically will tie into a detail that we'll get to a lot later, but just keep this in mind. All right, next up here, we see Spider-Man testing out a new slingshot ability. I don't know if it's new. I think he's done it before, but either way, if you look at the shot here, he doesn't have web shooters on, so I'm assuming this is him testing out his new organic webbing, and because of how uncontrollably, you know, fast he launches, I'm assuming that he's just a lot stronger now and he doesn't realize it, and so he's kind of testing out his new abilities and trying to get a handle on things. All right, now this is something really interesting. So this is the tank from earlier in the trailer, I'm assuming. And I'm assuming that this takes place at the end of the chase scene. The tank is crashed. Spider-Man goes over and he rips off the hatch of the tank and he sees this old woman. And she has this weird look on her face, and she looks at this soldier guy, and then he looks all weird. He like stumbles over for a second, and then he looks like he's evil or something. And if you look right here, this old lady, she's like, oh, like, what just happened? Where am I? And then the soldier guy, he like whips his head up, and now this guy is under some kind of spell or control or something. Now, what I think this is the Chameleon. Now, I know that the Chameleon usually operates with masks and makeup and costumes and stuff like that, but I feel like they might be wanting to modernize the Chameleon and give him some kind of power set. So having him be able to take over people's bodies and like disguise himself as other people would be really interesting. And that would be a good way to kind of mix up his character, especially for the modern day. And I don't know, I didn't expect to see Chameleon in this movie, but I think that would be awesome. Now, this could also be the way that we get Savage Hulk, because we know that Bruce Banner's in the movie, and the original theory that I saw thrown around was Mr. Negative's going to be in the movie, and he's going to take over the Hulk with his mind control and bring out the Savage Hulk. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is Chameleon is going to take over Bruce Banner, and then he's not going to be able to control the Hulk, and so he'll turn into Savage Hulk. So we'll get the Chameleon as Savage Hulk. I don't know. I might be just completely out of my mind here, but that sounds interesting. I don't know. And then in this next shot, we see who very well could be the Chameleon doing some kind of evil pose inside of Peter's home base. I told you to remember what his, workspace looked like from the last shot, but we see the police scanner, we see all of the computer monitors, the desk. Either way, he's inside of Peter's apartment. And next we get a look at Scorpion, and he looks okay. You know, I'm not super impressed with his costume, but after seeing this trailer, I don't think that he's going to be the main villain, so I don't think it really matters. I think he's really going to be a side antagonist or maybe some kind of henchman or something. He's got some kind of armor on. It looks pretty good. The tail looks all right. It looks a lot better than the concept art, but he doesn't have the mask. Like, he looks fine. You know, I'm not impressed, but I'm not super disappointed either. And next we get another shot of Peter testing out his new strengthened abilities. He's swinging uncontrollably. He's flailing around everywhere. It looks really fun. And next we get another shot of Peter interacting with the tank from that whole chase sequence that we saw in the set leaks. And this looks like it's ripped straight from Spider-Man PS4. Like this shot specifically where he's trying to turn the tank. Like, come on, this is peak. And next we get a short little montage of references to different Spider-Man comic book covers. We have Amazing Fantasy 15 here. I think this is one of the Eric Larson covers. I'm not sure, but we have a good look at Boomerang there. He looks pretty good. Doesn't look terrible. And then we get a shot of Spider-Man versus Tarantula. Again, referencing another classic comic book cover. This just looks great, you know? Like, some of the slow-mo shots look a little awkward, but again, I like to judge things after we've seen the final product, so we'll just have to wait and see. Now, this next part was probably the biggest surprise for me. So we knew that Jackie Chan was going to be, you know, kind of helping out with the stunt choreography and the fight scenes. So a lot of people were assuming that they were going to do Mr. Negative and his people because the casting call called for a bunch of adult Asian men who were versed in martial arts or whatever, like that kind of stunt training. So people were like, oh, Mr. Negative and the demons. But no, what we have here is the Hand. Spider-Man's going to be fighting a bunch of ninjas. Like, I did not expect that. And what's more interesting is Peter is apparently fighting them unmasked in a prison. At least this looks like a prison. You got a bunch of iron bars everywhere. So why is he in prison? Why are there ninjas? Why do they care about Spider-Man? These are usually, you know, enemies of Daredevil. This also makes me think, is Daredevil going to be in this movie? I mean, Born Again Season 2 is taking place right before Spider-Man Brand New Day. We already have Punisher in the trailer. What if Daredevil shows up? I know that they've said he's not going to, but Marvel's lied to us before. They told us that Tobey and Andrew weren't going to be in No Way Home, so why would they tell the truth here if they're trying to hide this big surprise? But this makes me think that he might be in the movie. I don't know. We'll see. Now, overall, I think the trailer looks great. I have a few concerns about some of the story elements that they're going to be adapting, the organic webbing, the evolution of Peter's powers. I think it's fine, and it could be really interesting as long as they don't bring the weird magic totem stuff into it, but I'm still excited, you know? And honestly, this looks like the most Spider-Man-y movie that we've seen in a long time, you know? Like, the other Spider-Man movies just felt like somebody was holding his hand through the whole thing. So even though we have cameos from Punisher and Bruce Banner, this still feels like Spider-Man's movie, and he's dealing with all of this stuff himself, which is what this is supposed to be, you know? I mean, from what we've seen so far, the visuals, the cinematography, it looks way better than the previous movies. I love the melancholy lighting for the overcast, you know, kind of daytime scenes that they have going on here. It looks so good, and the swinging and the action, it looks way more realistic and tangible, and like, Spider-Man's actually there, you know? In all of the John Watts movies, he looked like a CGI 3D model just floating around the environment. He did not look real. He looked like a painted cartoon character, and John Watts was a fool for making fun of the whole practical swinging stuff. He's like, oh yeah, you think you're gonna go out and do the practical swinging stuff, but you're just gonna CGI everything. Fool, okay? This new director obviously knows what he's doing. This looks great. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it all, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button, and drop in the comments down below what you thought of the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer. Let's talk about it. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later.